Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm here with part 5 of the Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. From the beginning of the story, if we want to know, we know that in the first part, the mariner, who is now old, stops a wedding guest and asks him to listen to his story. The story goes as they start their journey from somewhere in the northern parts of the earth to the equator, and then but there is a troublesome storm and they are moved towards the South Pole. And after they're stuck in that place, there comes a bird, an albatross, who helps them to get out of that condition. And after they are saved, the mariner shots the albatross with his crossbow. The crew react. They put the albatross around his neck instead of his cross, and then he's there to compensate for his sin. His sin actually brings some bad omens to them. There comes a ship. That ship is a ghost ship, or a specter ship, as it is mentioned in the poem. The crew of that ship are death and life and death. They throw dice, and life and death wins the lives of the crew. And then the mariner is all alone on a ship which does not move. Uh, let's see what happens next. The mariner, it cannot find a kind of repentance, or he cannot admit that he has done the sin and pray to God to accept his repentance. At first, he cannot do that. He cannot pray. But when he prays, he can bless the slimy things on the surface of the ship, and now he can sleep. Oh, sleep's a gentle thing, beloved from pole to pole. To Mary Queen the praise be given. She sent the gentle sleep from heaven that slid into my soul. Now he's blessed. Now the saint has took pity on him and prayed for him, and the mariner himself had experienced gushing of some love from his heart. So he can experience a calm sleep, and he attributes it to Mary the Virgin. The silly buckets on the deck that had so long remained, I dreamt that they were filled with dew, and when I awoke, it rained. So it seems that the spell is now broken, and the mariner can see rain. There is water, but don't forget that the dead crew are still in the ship, so he cannot feel calm, maybe. My lips were wet, my throat was cold, my garments, oh, were dank. Wet, dank means wet. Sure, I had drunken in my dreams, and still my body drank from the water. That there was water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Now there is a drop to drink too. Not every water around him is salty, so he can feel the rain, and he can drink from the water. I moved and could not feel my limbs. I was so light, almost. I thought that I had died in a sleep and was a blessed ghost. Now the weight of the sin is not on his eyes, over his shoulders, so he feels weightless. He feels light from the weight of the sin. So he's spiritually feeling free now. And soon I hear the roaring wind. It did not come near. When he becomes kind to nature, nature gets back with kindness too. And now he can be saved. It did not come near, but with a sound it shook the sails that were so thin and sere. One point about this poem is that it it interconnects a natural and the supernatural. When you bother or when you harm the nature, then nature and what is beyond nature reacts to you. This was what happened to the mariner. He shot the albatross, and albatross as an element of nature we can consider. So nature becomes harsh to the mariner, and now the mariner could bless those slimy things, nature is responding back with some forms of help and kindness to the mariner. And sear here means dry, by the way. The upper air burst into life, and 100 fire flags sheen. To and fro they were hurried about, and to and fro and in and out. The wan stars danced between. Uh, that One means pale. So there are stars, there is wind, there are clouds, there is fire flag, or there is lightning indeed. So the nature is making a show here for him. And the coming wind did roar more loud, and the sails did sigh like sedge. The sails start to open, and they sigh like an opening blossoming flowers like sedge. And the rain poured down from one black cloud. The moon was at its edge. The moon is there, but no more the star beneath it, which was a sign of bad omen. The thick back cloud was cleft. It is now true. It's made to the two that now there are two. There is a cleft between them, and still the moon was at its side, like water shot from some high crag. The lightning fell with never a jag, a river steep and wide. The lightning is now a river coming from the sky to the ship. The loud wind never reached the ship, yet the ship moved on. Beneath the lightning and the moon, the dead man gave a groan. And now it's time for life and death to show its power. They groaned, they stared, they all uprose, nor spake nor moved their eyes. It had been strange, even in a dream, to have seen these dead men rise. But the mariner sees them. The helmsman steered the ship, moved, moved on, yet never a breeze upblew. The mariners all again walked the roads where they were wont to do. Wont means the habit that they started to work in the places they used to. They raised their limbs like lifeless tools. We were a ghostly crew. Now they are like ghosts doing the different tasks on the ship. The body of my brother's son stood by me, knee to knee. The body and I pulled at one rope, but he said not to me. Not means nothing, anything. He didn't speak a word with him. I fear the ancient mariner. Be calm, thou wedding guest. It was not those souls that fled in pain which to their courses came again. Corse means corpse. So these souls are not the actual souls of the mariners, but a troop of spirits blessed. Now the bodies are filled with a troop of blessed spirits. For when it dawned, how he knows it? Because for when it dawned, they dropped their arms and clustered round the mast. Sweet sounds rose slowly through their mouths, and from their bodies passed. They can move to and fro from the bodies. Around flew each sweet sound. They are like the spirits are like sweet sounds. Around flew each sweet sound. They darted to the sun, shooted. Slowly the sounds came back again, now mixed, now one by one. Sometimes a dropping from the sky, I heard the skylark sing. That these are the forms of the sounds he can hear. Sometimes all little birds that are, how they seem to fill the sea and air with their sweet jargoning. And now it was like all instruments, now like a lonely flute, and now it's an angel song that makes the heavens be mute. So there are different types of melodies all around him. And these are signs maybe of happiness. Nature is coming back. It ceased, yet still the sails made on, a pleasant noise till noon, a noise like a hidden brook in the leafy month of June, that to the sleeping birds all night singeth quiet tune. There is a tuning, there is a sound, sweet sound always heard while the ship is moving. Till noon we quietly sailed on, yet never a breeze did breathe. Slowly and smoothly went the ship, moved onward from beneath. There is a force beneath the ship which helps it to move on. Under the keel, 9 fathom deep, from the land of mist and snow, the spirit slid, and it was he that made the ship to go. The seals at noon left off their tune, and the ship stood still also. So it is believed that, or the mariner believes that it was the power of the spirit which loved the albatross that moved the ship till this point without any breeze or a common kind of a wind which naturally moves the ship. The sun right up above the mast had fixed her to the ocean, but in a minute she again stared, she the ship, with a short, uneasy motion, backwards and forwards half her length, with a short, uneasy motion. There is an uneasy motion in the ship. It goes forwards and backwards, as you could see in the picture. Uh, then, like a pawing horse let go, she made a sudden bound. It flung the blood into my head, and I fell down in a sound. So he is now on a fit. How long in that same bed I lay, I have not to declare, but ere my living life returned, I heard and in my soul discerned 2 voices in the air. These are 2 spirits talking to one another about the mariner. Is it he? Quoth one. Is this the man by him who died on cross? But the cruel bow he laid full low, the harmless albatross. One of them, it seems, is unaware of the story, or he wants to make sure, and asks from the other voice whether this is the mariner who had shot the albatross or not. The spirit who biddeth by himself in the land of mist and snow, he loved the bird that loved the man who shot him with his bow. Now we know that it is officially mentioned in the poem that the spirit loved the albatross and he was angry. So all of these things happened to the ship and its crew. The other was a softer voice, as soft as honeydew. Quoth he, the man has penance done, in penance more will do. The dialogue between the 2 spirits continues, but in the sixth part of the poem. So here sorry, in the sixth part of the poem, and here the fifth part ends. Thank you for listening.